Hello, everyone. It's a bit scuffed of a week of RSCast. We've lost Rhino. We had him for a single week, and he's already disappeared. Instead, I am having to step in. So, as you'll see on the bottom of the ticker there, it's going to be scuffed. I'm running the broadcast. I'm hosting it. We're still joined at least by Pegasus and Kingsman. I think my camera's mirrored, and you can't even see my hands. So, how are you two today?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad that, we picked up Rhino to take that host role for RSCast, and already is fulfilling Tavish's legacy of not showing up for half of them to just, go do something else that's better with his day. But of course, I'm here as per usual, and it's a pleasure to be here. And Kingsman, great to see you here as well.
Yeah, coming out of bed for once. I am ill as always. It seems I've been ill so much lately. It's honestly a nightmare. But yeah, Rhino, imagine having a life. Like, come on, you can't be doing that. You can't be leaving us to go actually enjoy things and do things with your life. And also, week 4 recap, and I've already started my week 5 games. Like, come on, why are we slow to this? What's taking so long, guys?
It's maybe we're not slow. Maybe you're fast. What I will say is,
no,
Kingsman's sick. I've got a cough. We're doing great here. Sorry if at any point you hear either me or Kingsman coughing. That's the only apology you're gonna get. We try and make sure it runs. We didn't have the week 3 recap, as many of you know. Ball chasing was all over the place, and most of the stats I don't even think were recorded until Friday or something like that. It was really late in the week, so we're sorry we didn't have the week 3 one. We will only be covering week 4 here. And speaking of missing weeks, as we go across to the next thing, we worked it out before the stream. There are only 4 RSCast streams left this season that we're going to be able to do. This one, I believe it's the week 6 and 7 recaps, and then the final playoffs, like the award stream at the end of the season. Purely because, I'm an expensive guy. I cost £100 a night, so, it's expensive.
100? I'm only getting 50.
50? Wait, you guys are getting paid for this? Well, I get nothing. What is this?
Yeah.
RSC's loaning me out here for free.
What on earth?
No wonder Tavish left. I mean, I don't even know what he was getting, but he was probably on the same contract as me. Oh, this is outrageous.
Now we got concerts all the time, to be fair, if he's on Mal's contract.
I mean... Yeah,
the host gets the most. It's the important role.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to speak to HR about this. This is dreadful behaviour. And my formal notice will be handed probably in next week. I might not be here.
Not another one.
Well, to be fair, Kingsman, none of us are going to be here next week because that is one of the weeks that has been cancelled. So
you spoiled my joke.
I'm sorry, but yeah. What we do know is next week we are all, or at least I don't know if Kingsman is, but me and Pegasus are definitely both travelling back from Birmingham, so that one is cancelled.
I am, yes.
And then after the 18th of March, I am on holiday for almost a month, so none of those streams are going to be going ahead unless there is another caster or a broadcaster that they can find. If they find that, they might still go ahead, but as of right now, they are cancelled, sadly. But anyway, now that we have the important stuff done, I have the fun of trying to switch all of the broadcast stuff over while also talking about what's coming up. So we have, I believe it is, weekly recap. It'd be really funny if I forgot what we're supposed to do as the broadcaster. But I believe it is Prospect first, and I believe it is Kingsman to take it away.
I mean, we could just skip the weekly recap, no? Go straight to clip of the week, fail of the week. I'm sure everyone in chat wouldn't mind skipping how they all did. Right, guys? Anyway, yes, so, well, in Prospect Glacies this week, you either won 2 series or you lost 2 series. That's how it went. And for obscurity, a team at the top of the table, they went double loss, a 3-2 to Team Serene, and another close game against Newt, who were the lowest team to pick up a double win, 2-4 going into it, 4-4 leaving the week. So very impressive. But those teams at the top still going 2-0, still making sure their reputation is attained with momentum. But a lot of non-sweeps here. Only 2 sweeps here. and one was by Montbelliard, the other by there was two by Montbelliard. I cannot count now. This is I'll just blame this on the fact I'm ill. But yeah, Montbelliard 6-0, and you made just the other team to get a 3-0 sweep.
So Kingsman, which franchise do you think in prospect was the best this week, and why was it Team Serene on the Glaciers side?
Because Team Serene, obviously the best franchise, beat Terra, who were an informed team, and beat Obscurity, who were an informed team. So from a team that looked pretty mid going into this week, they've done quite well to pull themselves out of the drain.
Yeah, definitely. But if you can't tell already, the desk this week is very, very stacked in favor of Team Serene. But to the other, less good Team Serene at AGM, why don't you take it away for Ignis, Pegasus?
Less good Team Serene AGM. I must say, you can really tell Kingsman is sick because he carried on those compliments and didn't try to, stamp it on him as soon as it was mentioned. So, you know what? Fair play to you for that. And, well, you spoke about teams either going double win or double loss over in Glaciers. We only got 2 double wins over here in Ignis. It was Embark and Wildcards. These were already 2 teams that were doing decently well in this season. Wildcards were coming off the back of a double loss, but this week really showing that was just a one-off week for them. They fought in a game 5 versus Rising Star and a sweep versus 20 Riflemen. And this Rising Star team I found rather interesting because they've been low down on the table. They only had 2 series wins before this week. They were on a huge losing streak. And not only do they take Wildcards to game 5, they also just randomly beat top of the table Koryu in game 4. I don't know if there were some transfers here for Rising Star, but they are looking dangerous and a potential team to look out for. And all the rest of the teams except for 20 Riflemen and Spark went 1 win, 1 loss. 20 Riflemen did have themselves a little bit of a disaster, but that did come from having to face some of the toughest teams in the conference.
Definitely looking like a more balanced conference on that side, considering quite a few one-on-ones. But those were your prospect results for week number 4. Kingsman, why don't you take it away with the prospect standings on Glaciers?
Yeah, Montbelliard, one of the few teams left, 8-0, but they continue at the top of the table. A 2-win gap leaves them with Umagist in second place, 6-2. Roz at third, making your top 3 all on unique scores. However, 4th through 7th are tied. Obscurity, Newt, Terra, and Team Serene, all 4-4. So a big fight in that mid-table. Whereas Rosaceous, Accelerate, and Maelstrom being left a bit at the bottom, a week behind. Rosaceous and Accelerate and Maelstrom are 3 series behind, with a lot of work to do.
Definitely a lot of work, but I think it's a very, very common thing we say on RSCast, especially at the midpoint in the season. They still could make a comeback to at least make it into those play-in spots and make it so they can actually potentially win the tier. I doubt with a 1-7 season so far, without any major changes, they're going to do great. But at least they still have the possibility. But over now to the Ignis conference. Pegasus, why don't you take that one away?
Well, you called it a balanced table, and overall, everyone is rather close. You've got your top 2 teams being Embark and Koryu. Embark, of course, climbing after their double series win. And then after that, you've got Wildcard clawing themselves back up, staying in that top table contention. But of course, not far away from the piranhas that are Tomfoolery, Occultus, 20 Riflemen, and Prodigy right behind. And same can be said, honestly, about Rising Star and Crusaders. Dare I say, the only team that looks a bit far away from the action, I guess you could say here, is unfortunately Brave Spark, going 1-7 so far this season. And I don't really know what's happened with Brave this season, because historically, been a really good franchise, but, sometimes those seasons happen. And I hope that they can turn themselves around, because like you said, it is still within that point where anything can happen, whether that's a rebuild or a team just becoming a lot better, quite simply. They can climb their way back. They're only technically 3 wins away from 4th place.
That is impressively close for especially this far into the season. I mean, It's harder to see in the draft format because draft format we go off game wins instead of series wins. So there's a lot bigger of a gap usually, and as you can see on there, I think we can't get a draw, so we at least have that bonus over the draft season. As you can tell, not a big fan of the fact you can draw, but those were your prospect standings for week number 4. Now we go across to our prospect fixtures for this upcoming week, including probably a few games that have already been played today.
No, there's none that's been played already.
You never know. There's 4 games on there that could have been played today. Okay, that's all I'm saying, Kingsman. It's not my fault that I do it early enough.
Yet. There are some that are underway at the minute. Yes, you might be right about that. However, there are none that are finished. And I don't actually... Oh, no, it's an Obscuracy doubleheader tonight with them actually playing at UMagis as we speak, I believe. All that might be over, or man might have actually beaten me to it. I think... No, it's in progress. Okay, phew. God, I was worried I was wrong for a second. That never normally happens. Anyway, looking down the rest of the table, we look at the first team becoming a 10-0 potentially in Montbéliard. They go to Maelstrom, bottom of the table, and Newt in 5th. Newt's on a ridiculously good run of form will look to put an end to Maelstrom's dominance, or not Maelstrom, but Montbéliard's dominance at the top of the table. And Maelstrom probably going to be helpless unless there's a roster change that sets the tier on fire. Also tonight, you got Team 3 Newts. Another 2 strong teams in the big game in the mid-table. Whichever side wins that will go 4th. Accelerate versus Terra. Terra should win that based on form. However, both sides going double lost last week. It's a hard one to call. And I've mentioned the other one already. But yeah, all looking good. But however, a lot of games from top of the table versus bottom of the table as we loop back round to round 2 of each team playing each other.
Definitely, and like you said, that Montbéliard, both of those matches are probably going to be worth keeping an eye on if they do manage to keep their 0 series loss streak going. And I mean, I don't want to kind of hate on Unitox here a bit, but if Montbéliard is 8-0 right now, I know Unitox isn't high on the franchise standings, so that's got to be a good portion of their series wins purely from that one roster, right, Kingsman?
Yeah, I think it is, because I'll be honest, I looked straight in Challenger, and they were 0-8.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Averaging it out at least.
Yeah, and their rival team's 10th as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Elite team
Spoilers.
is 4th.
Whoa, spoilers.
Master
Whoa,
team is
spoilers.
He's
Yeah,
ruined.
chat won't remember that. Chat won't remember that.
This is why we're cancelling our
You just insulted your intelligence. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway.
true.
Across to the
I'll
Ignis
take that,
conference.
chat.
Pegasus, don't give us any spoilers. How are we looking?
Oh, we are looking good. We're looking very, very good. There are 2 matches tonight. One of them is underway at the moment. We've got Wildcards versus Spark. Wildcards had a double loss week. Now we're on a double win. And I think they're going to continue that streak. Spark are that team sitting at the bottom of the table. It's quite a rough run that they would have to play a team like this. Now, immediately afterwards, just about heading into that second half of the season. We've also got Koryu versus Occultus. They're looking to get their way into the top spot. Koryu specifically looking to try and take number 1. And then there is 20 Riflemen versus Spark. Again, 20 Riflemen, one of those mid-table teams sitting on a 4-4 record. Still, Spark do just look far away from it, but this is one of those matches that surely they would have to win. And I'm just going to skip over to the double headers. Embark playing 2 matches, 1 versus Prodigy, 1 versus Koryu. That's really exciting. That's your top team on the table at the moment, and that's one side with the same record as them, and one of them being, another one of those mid-tablers. That's going to be a very exciting day for Prospect. And I saw as well a doubleheader for my team to watch, Rising Star, the one that took Wildcards to a Game 5 and got a series win against Koryu. They will be looking to climb up the tables, and Crusaders and Tomfoolery will be the right test for that.
Definitely some very, very interesting matches coming up. And I mean, what do you think of playing double headers here, Pegasus? Because I know we spoke a bit before about some of our rosters potentially playing it. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's a horrible idea?
I'm a hater. I'm a hater of double headers. To me, I like the ability to play a series and then learn from your mistakes for the next one and take some time to do that, and you know, maybe a next pre-match scrim or something like that. And a lot of teams as well, they don't want to play a pre-match scrim before a double header and use that first series as a warm-up just because it's too much Rocket League. And that just sets you up for failure, in my opinion. So I am a double header hater as a player, but as a spectator, always fun to watch. And if I am, you know, someone looking at a team and wanting them to drop a few points, this is the kind of situation I'd be looking for. So Koryu at the moment, sitting on that 6-2 record with Embark, should be licking their lips right now.
Oh, see, I'm a bit more in the middle on them, because if you play great in the first series, you feel on fire in the second one. If you play horribly in the first series, you feel even worse in the second. So I don't know. I feel like it can work for and against you. But either way, that was all of the recap for Prospect for this and next week. Now going up a tier to the Challenger tier. And Kingsman, why don't you take it away with the week 4 results for Glacies?
Almost the exact same as Prospect, pretty much. 4 of the teams going double win, 4 of the teams going double loss. The teams at the bottom getting absolutely annihilated. As I spoiled it, Ankoli Watusi, 0-2 again, continue their drought at the bottom. I won't tell you their score, however, an 0-3 against Inertia, who were looking very strong, won their last 5, and against Yukubo, which Yukubo seems to drop off a bit of form recently. However, they did get swept by Neptunium earlier in the week, another high table flyer. However, Inertia did beat Neptunium. So Inertia actually taking no prisoners at this point in the season as they push on further. However, looking down the table, Thralls go double win as they beat Axolotls 3-1. And they also beat Pardus 3-0 to push themselves because they were down near the bottom of the table. So they may have pushed themselves away from that. Also around mid-table with a surprising double win week was Monsoon. They beat DSQ's Keanu, I don't care, 3-1. And they also beat Axolotls 3-2, which sent Axolotls double loss. So tough week for them, but I'm sure they'll bounce back.
Definitely. My favourite part about now being in this hosting is I can now laugh at you audibly on stream whenever you mess up a team's name. Either way, with the what seem to be easier names, given you got lucky this season, Pegasus, I feel like.
Yeah,
with the Ignis conference, how's that looking?
Well, the top 3 teams were pretty established in our last week as Mischief, Clean, and Jax. Mischief and Clean continue their run with another double win week, but however, Jax had to face those top 2 teams, had to play Mischief and Clean. This was a huge week for them, and it's going to be quite similar to another team that we're going to see in Master a little bit later. But they just were not good enough. They didn't step up to the plate. They got losses in both of those matches, including a brutal Game 5 versus Clean. So you got to feel for them, but at the same time, the weeks literally could not get any more difficult, theoretically. So I'm sure that's going to be a team that will bounce back, but it will hurt for now. Elsewhere on the table, however, 20 Brick were also a team that went double win. They managed to get a 6-1 record throughout it with a win versus Ember, which is another really tough top side with 2 of my former teammates actually on that team, and a sweep against Veldora, one of those bottom 2 teams, Veldora and Ascending Star, that did go double loss this week. But as for the rest of the teams, 1-1 as usual, neutral weeks and mid-table doing some mid-table things.
Definitely, and I will say, you mentioned the Jacks unlucky facing off against 2 teams that were on fire, but still, a 1-3 and a 2-3 result show that they can at least take games, which means they have at least some starting point to improve in future matchups against them, should they ever see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, any other week is going to be easier for this team. And I do think they'll bounce back. And it will be, like I said, a similar story to what I will be saying in Master, which I'm sure all three of us here at the desk are very excited for.
I mean, hand on heart honesty here, I don't know what any of these tiers look like until they appear on the broadcast, because I do not pay attention to anything that happens in RSC. Even though I'm franchise management, I will say it, I know sort of how the franchise is doing, but I couldn't tell you any specifics. Either way, to get away from my bad franchise managing, we can go across to the challenger standings with Kingsman taking the Glaciers Conference.
Yes, we can. No it, no team here. It's Neptunium leading the way. 6-2. One loss does not affect their run. However, it allows Inertia, Eclipse, and Yukubo to be the hunting pack, all tied on series win. However, game wins leaves Neptunium at the front. Don't count Monsoon out either. Double win week sees them 5-3, 1 win behind, and Thralls to make out the top 6. 4-4, only 2 wins separate first from 6th. A big run in here for some of these teams, and some are going to need to hit the ground running. Keanu only 1 series behind, so not too bad. Pardus and Axolotls, both double loss. They're going to need to turn that around for any hopes of a top 6 spot. And Coley Watusi, all they seem to do is lose no matter what. 0-8 here, and they are 4 series off the top 6. That is a tough ladder to climb.
Say I'm not usually one to call out a team this early, but I think unless there are some major roster changes or strategy changes on the side of Ankol Watsui, I can't see them turning this around, because they will have to go
Agreed. Yeah.
near flawless from here on out to stand a solid
Agreed.
chance of getting it.
Yeah, especially with the 4 teams, Thralls, Keanu, Pardus, and Axolotls minimum in between them, who Thralls seeming to be picking up results, and Keanu and Pardus and Axolotls seeming to pick up the old series win here and there.
Yeah,
And I just want to point out, as your resident Charlie player here, that team on paper is really strong. Like, the players on that team are really, really good. Bluegi and Dean especially are 2 really promising talents. So I feel like if roster changes do happen, it could just be better for everyone.
Yeah, I think I've scrimmed against them with the Team Serene Challenger team when they were down a player, and they definitely were a solid team. It's just, I guess, they haven't managed to convert that good on paper into good in practice, and because of that, they are in what could be the worst possible position to attempt a run for playoffs. But either way, across to the Ignis Conference, where I'm assuming it'll probably be slightly more spread out at the top.
Yeah, you are completely correct here, because we do see a team going undefeated so late into the season as well. Mirage going 8-0 with 104 goals for versus 52 goals against. That is a ridiculous record to be holding at the end of week 4. But behind them is Clean, only 1 series behind at the moment. And I'm just going to go out there and assume that's probably at the hands of Mischief. 20 Rook have a bit of gap between themselves and second place, but they're still very much able to compete with their 5-3 record. But then if they look behind them, they'll see hot on their tails, Ember, Jax, and Rise on a 4-4 record. Jax also being that team that had the toughest week possible, so I'm sure that's going to be a climber in the upcoming weeks. And then Qantas looking for that top 6 spot, that play-ins position. So only 1 series win behind Rise. And then your bottom 3 seem pretty defined at this point. Sentinels, Veldora, and Ascending Star. They need to find something, especially that Shooting Star team, because look, if we were saying it about Unitox in Glacies, I think we can say the same for some of these bottom teams.
Definitely, but I just want to bring up again that goal difference for Mischief. They have scored 2 goals for every goal they've conceded so far this season, which in itself is an impressive stat. And their goal difference is almost higher than the amount of goals scored in total by Veladora down at the bottom there. So it's it's an impressive stat line to have, and I think they are definitely going to be the ones to beat for every other team in Challenger with a stat line like that, assuming each conference is balanced, because obviously there's a lot of talk each season of how balanced are each conference, and usually when you have a breakaway team, it's not the most balanced, but also it could just be that they are that good.
They're unbalanced.
They're unbalanced.
They're unbalanced.
We're saying they're unbalanced. Okay, they're unbalanced. This is the most unbalanced conference we've ever seen. Either way, to get away from the imbalance that is the Ignis Challenger standings, we now go across to the Challenger fixtures for week number 5. And Kingsman, what are the interesting matches coming up in Glacies?
Well, the game tonight is Axolotls Neptunium, top of the table versus 9th. And in all honesty, I give Axolotls no hope here. Neptunium have been on fire, 93 goals scored, and Axolotls have conceded the most in the conference. So, but I had to put money on it, Neptunium all the way, but I don't gamble. So, I guess we'll have to see how that one goes out. I did also mention Ankoli Watusi going to look for their first series win. They have a good chance. They do play Pardus this week in 8th place, and they also play at Thralls. I give them more chance of a win in the Pardus series. However, who knows? They could upset Thralls, who have picked up some good momentum as of recent, as I mentioned. And a big test for them will be Neptunium, who obviously on fire at the top, picked up both of their losses in the last 2 weeks. So be looking to push through that. However, I think my game I'm going to highlight for this week is just Monsoon's week, full stop. They play Eclipse in 3rd and Yukobo in 4th. A double win week for them would see them probably leapfrog both teams, and it would put them comfortably in the top 3. However, double loss would see them at least a week behind. So Monsoon, if there was any time to pull the cards out of the hat, it was this week. But you're going to need double ace.
Definitely, and I want your opinion here, Kingsman. In your expert opinion, Yokobo, what are their odds of having a double win week this week, do you think?
Well, I'd say the odds of them beating Pardus are quite high. Obviously, Pardus not struggling, and I mean, Yukobo have picked up 2 losses 2 weeks. However, rocky form, but I think Pardus still aren't a match as it stands. However, the tough, I think it's real flip of the coin, the game Yukobo Monsoon. Obviously, Monsoon in good form. However, they did bounce back remarkably off a double loss week. I think that one could go to 5, but I don't know which one to give it to. So I'd say you've got about 40% chance of double win this week.
Those are odds I will take, and I imagine when we go across to the Ignis conference, Pegasus is going to probably agree. 40% is solid for a double win week, but anyone looking like they could be getting a double win week over in Ignis, Pegasus?
Oh, I'm not sure about double win weeks when I'm looking at these top teams, because it's actually going to be quite a challenge for most of them. Let me just double check for 20 Rooks run. Nope, they're going to have some struggles as well. Jax, of course, had their double loss week, and teams like Ember are going to try and take advantage of that. Luckily, that is within their own hands. Ember do play Jax this week on the 26th, but they also play Clean on the 24th, which is that team sitting in 2nd place just behind Mischief. And I had a little bit of a check after I claimed that Clean's only series loss was likely against Mischief. That is true. It was in week 1. It was a game 5 loss. And now is the chance to fight back, because now those repeat matchups start to happen in week 5. You get 1 repeat matchup, and then the rest of your season is going to be repeats. They play Clean later in the week. 1st versus 2nd. The classic easy RSCast call-out that we love to get halfway through the season is happening. So this is going to be a huge week for Clean to try and climb, for Ember to try and snipe a top spot, for Jax to try and claw their way back up. Their other game's going to be against Ascending Star. That should be a free win for them on paper. And 20 Rook, of course, that team sitting in 3rd. Sentinels should be a decently easy matchup for them. But then they've also got to play Rise on the other hand, and that's a hard match for Rise to have to face. Another one of those teams looking to compete for those top spots. So the entirety of the top 6 play each other in some fashion. And it's not like Mischief and Clean are way too far away to ever catch up to. That is so doable, and that third place spot as well gives you those advantages over fourth, and that battle for third launches this week.
I mean, yeah, like Mischief was going to be the easy call for a 2-0 week, but if they're against Clean, it's going to be a close match. And I think something else that we didn't highlight in Prospect, but I imagine we will see it throughout all of the tiers, is that this week is a very front-heavy scheduled week due to the fact that obviously the RLCS Major is happening in Birmingham. So most teams probably will have avoided scheduling. We do see a couple here who have scheduled over the weekend, but I know the entirety of the Team Serene management's going to be there at Birmingham. I mean, I know quite a few of our players are going to be at Birmingham watching it live because it's a great time. So I can only imagine how many people who either have avoided scheduling because they just want to watch or are actually going, and that is going to cause potentially a bit of awkwardness for some teams having to use things like subs or even just having to get free agents in.
It's such a struggle, and those struggles I think are going to remain when it comes to that scheduling as well. So captains, management, be careful. This is going to be probably the roughest weekend of the season.
Oh, there's always one. There's always one where an RSC or an RCS LAN happens in the middle of it, and every single time it ends up in chaos. But either way, those were your challenger fixtures for week number 5. Once again, going up a tier. Kingsman, which franchise is doing the best in Glacies right now from the results of week 4?
Team Amphibian. Done. Boom. Look at that. Cool.
They haven't appeared on the screen. Hold on.
Yeah, well, I can spoil it for you. It is Team
Oh,
Amphibian. 6-0 week. I mean, they were 0-6 going into this week, and they've swept Onka, who were top of the table. And they've also swept Chianina, who were Chianina. Well, you know what?
No,
Chianina, who were look at that. Chianina, who are also bottom of the table, but 6-0 week. I mean, as an 0-6 side, that's really, really good. So shout out to them first of all. Very good job, well done. But also looking down the rest of the table, Momentum again, just piling on the good weeks. Sweeping Carls, who were also at the top, near the top, and also getting a 3-1 win onto Nardus, who weren't really the shock. I thought they were the shotgun double loss, but it's actually Carls who got swept twice. Once by Onk, who got obliterated by Toad. Does that mean that Toads would 6-0 Carls? I think it does. I think it does. Just from pure logic. That means they would 6-0 them. So 2 series wins there, just saying. Eddie, you might want to read up on that. But no, very good bounce back week for Toads, who haven't found a series win all season. And for Carls, they might just have fallen off of the top.
I was going to say, with the way that you were talking about Toads, with the 6-0 game-wise this week, I would not have expected them to have been 0-6 heading into this week. 2 sweeps in their favour. That's an impressive feat, especially if it's your first 2 series wins of the seasons. But anything that impressive over on the Ignis side, Pegasus?
I'll be honest with you, Mal. Not really. It seems that Ignis in Rival is starting to settle a little bit here. The only teams going double win are 2 of our previous top 3, and the only reason one of those teams didn't go double win was because they had to play Mirage, that team that was sitting at the top. Aptus did take 1 series win and 1 series loss. Mirage went double win. Focus went double win. Your only 2 teams going double loss were your previous 9th and 10th place team, Queens and Shooting Star, with Shooting Star even going on for an 0-6 record, which is brutal for them. Vanguards get their 3rd series win of the season. That was actually after playing Queen, so it was a bit of a battle at the bottom there, and that went all the way to game 5 there for Vanguard's just about to squeak that one out and keep themselves somewhat in those top 6 contentions. But everywhere else on the table, in the middle, and of course Aptus, because they had to play top of the table, it was completely neutral. And when we do switch over to that table scene, count how many arrows that you see. It's going to be something that you haven't seen all that often. But Still, I think some respect should be given to teams like Kazel, who were able to get a sweep versus Flame, which is quite a tough result for them, considering that Flame were one of those upper teams on the table, and Kazel are looking to just get themselves back involved. And to be fair, their loss against Mirage was a Game 5, so maybe that's a team that is heating themselves up, ready to actually make some changes on the table. But for now, things have settled a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an impressive week, and what I will say is usually I try not to point out any teams that might be quote unquote dominant in a tier until usually around about week 6 or 7, because I feel like, especially before any repeat matchups happen, you can't really say that a team is necessarily going to be that great, because there's all the roster changes that are going to happen. But I do have to say, both in Challenger and in Rivals, the illusory rosters are doing incredibly well and are on the verge of what I would consider calling dominant, even this early on in the season so far.
Yeah, I would have to completely agree, and I'm sure that that will reflect itself a little later in the stream for their franchise standings, but they've got a lot of respect to give here to their challenger and rival sides, which, looking at those teams, to be fair, does make sense on paper.
But what I will say, as we go across to the week 4 rival standings, you were talking about potentially having a look at the arrows. And the arrows for the Glaciers conference, how are they looking, Kingsman?
All the arrows in rival right here, ladies and gentlemen. Momentum up the league to the top, 6-2, dropping Atmos. That's what happens when you don't go to win Atmos, you fall off the top of the table, both 6-2. Onka getting swept by Toads, real shock, but it leaves them 5-3 with Uranum, a team flying under the radar with double win. A team on my radar, Coles, 0-2, 4-4, tied with Nightfall. We've got a nice little pattern here, 2-2-2, all the way down the table. Then the next two is Nardus and Mokoteki. Team 3 and teams finally finding where they belong at the bottom of the table. I had to get it out. 3-5 with a very, very respectable win ratio for Nardus, 45%. I thought it'd be a bit lower. And Toads, they're starting their regain arc, as they're 2-6, along with Chianina, who are 2-6 as well. So we have a new bottom of the table, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely, and I always love when you can basically split the table in half, and it's reflected where you have 4-4, and then 5-3, 3-5,
Wow.
6,
Brilliant.
6-2. It's always amazing when the table looks like that. Sadly, I think as the Ignis table appears on the screen, it isn't going to look as nice as that, is it, Pegasus?
Well, let's start off by counting arrows as well. Not an arrow there, none there, there, and I'm just going to stop saying it and let you all watch. When I said the league has settled a little bit, I really meant it. Not a single arrow on this side of the conference. Apparently, all of them just went to Glacies. And that's what happens when lots of teams do end up going neutral. Mirage and Focus, though, did not themselves. They went double win, which allows Focus to be on an equal series record as Aptus and potentially steal that second place spot. But we were talking earlier about the domination that Mirage potentially have on this conference. And well, it doesn't show it on this screen here, but I can tell you that out of 31 games played, Mirage have 124, which makes sense because they've won 8 series. They've only lost 7, which means that on average, they are losing under 1 game a series. That is unbelievable at the end of week 4 to have a record like that. So fair plays to them. But everywhere else on the table, we've got lots of teams contesting themselves to try and steal a top 3 spot with Flame, Streak, and 20 Robin, both on neutral 4-4 records. Kazel and Vanguard sit behind on 3-5. But like I said, Kazel being one of those teams, in my opinion, to look out for. They did get a win this week against Flame. They went to game 5 against Mirage. Who knows where they can go up to? Maybe they can actually create some arrows for a week 5 recap, which is not happening. Vanguard's also got a series win, but that was against Queens, who sit at the bottom alongside Shooting Star with double losses this week and a 1-7 record.
I do have to say, the thing that I find impressive, even though I'm not going to say it isn't a lot of goals, compared to the challenger roster for Illusory, the amount of goals for compared to goals against for Mirage isn't that insane of a number. They've only get like a goal difference of about +1.5 each series. Not like, oh sorry, each game. It's just barely over 1, isn't it? Yeah, it's not even 1.5. It's like 1.25 or something like that they get on average per game. So they're not winning by massive margins. They're just on average slightly better, which is exactly what you need really to win a tier. So they're at least doing the right thing to get those wins. But those were your rival standings. Now going across to the future and week 5 fixtures. Is there anything that looks insane, Kingsman, as you look up from, I'm assuming, your phone, as I see on my tiny little camera that shows you?
No, I would never. 2 games.
On the job.
On the job. Oh, I'm not getting paid, so it doesn't bother me. Anyway, Carl's and Nardus is one of the games tonight, along with Mokoteki Momentum. I was absolutely slagging Mokoteki off, so if they can prove me wrong and beat Momentum tonight, I'm sure Mal and Pigs will be over the moon, and I'll be absolutely shocked because I don't see Momentum losing that in a month of Sundays. Anyway, looking down the table, big week for Atmos here as they play Onka, a team who had a week of 2 halves, you could say, and they also play Toads, who have been deciding this week they're going to start playing Rocket League again, it seems. Picking up half of their game wins in the last week. So they decided to play Rocket League again, then they might give Atmos a run for their money here. A side which have lost a bit of their momentum, but will be looking to gain it back. Looking down the rest of the table, a big week for Nardus to bounce back. They have former 0-2 people as well in Carls and Uranium. Both sides mid-table. So if Nardus can win both of those, it's a big, big push back for them to the top 6. And I truly believe if they can do that, then they'll be in contention for potentially even the top 3.
Definitely, and you mentioned your lack of faith in the side of Mokoteki taking on Momentum tonight. As an AGM, I have full confidence that they are going to win that. As the host of RSCast,
Pigs in that roster, I would not agree.
I was about to say, as the host of RSCast, I'm with you in that I am not expecting Mokoteki to have that impressive of a showing. Having been teamed with Luke for far too long, as I would describe it.
Oh, and Ares. Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's and Tomo as well. It's a scary
done?
roster. Luke was in charge. He's in charge of the rival roster.
Tomo's all right. Tomo's all right in his defense, but oh my God, Ares and oh my goodness, God, talk about throwing away a team. Goodness, what are you doing, Mal?
All I'm saying, the one team that me and Pegasus didn't really have any say on is also the one team that's not doing the greatest. So maybe Luke's the problem at Team Surin. Maybe we figure that out live. But either way, Pegasus, why don't you take it away with the Ignis conference?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I made a grand final with Meaty Pig 999. My back's still hurting, of course, for that season. But Flame, we spoke about them on the last screen here. They're one of those teams competing for a top 3 spot. They're on a 4-4 record. 3rd and 2nd are on 6-2. Well, they actually play 2 of the top 3. So this is their chance to prove their mettle with them playing against the dominant Mirage and Focus as well. Focus just coming off the back of a double win week as well. So if Flame are able to get a result out of this, that would be a statement showing from them. But we mustn't forget that if this lands disastrously for them and they potentially double loss, which is possible here, Streak and 20 Robin are hot on their tails with equal 4-4 records at the moment. And they actually play each other. So one of them can earn themselves the right to potentially steal a spot away from Flame and be themselves that top team to try and steal one of those top 3s. And another team that I spoke about a lot on that last game was Kazel. Went game 5 against Mirage and got a series win versus that Flame team I just mentioned. They've got a really hard week. They have to play Aptus, your current 2nd place, and they also have to play Focus, your current 3rd place. So 2 teams having to have both of their matches be 2 top 3 sides. is pretty rough for them. But we'll see how all of that unfolds. 20 Robin also have a great opportunity alongside their match versus Streak, having to play bottom of the table Shooting Star in their other matchup. So, you know, it might have been a week that settled a little bit. There were 0 arrows on the board. That could all change for week 5.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the important thing to note here is that the Kazel match you said might be hard is against Aptus, which is a team dexterity team, and they're not the greatest franchise I've ever seen. So I don't know. I think that might be an easier match than you give them credit for. But going across two elites that Kingsman can't refute that claim. How are we looking for Glacey's results in week number 4, Kingsman?
Well, little do you know, you had to come back to me first. So, no, it's fine. Shattered and Stingray can tank that. They know they're better than everyone. So, I don't even have to speak about that. Anyway, moving on to my elite tier. Oh, for goodness sake, Miasma going at 2-0 again. Honestly, this is a joke. This is a disgrace. So I'm not getting paid, and they give me the worst names I've ever seen. Anyway, Miasma 2-0, a 3-2 over Shinjiro. Very close series by all accounts, and a very tough series at the top of the table. But a 3-0 sweep over Pulfora. That should have been a closer game, I feel like. But Pulfora is all getting pushed out of the way. Looking down at the other 2-0s, you've got Giles and Darkness coming out of the dark, in a sense, there, with 2-0 weeks from the bottom. And Salamanders 0-2, not being able to pull it out against Porphyra or against Giles. There was a big chance then Porphyra 0-2 there, but they were just one game away from being able to do that. And, well, 2 sweeps in this tier this time, and they're not both on the same team, so no team's gone 0-6. However, a team that seems to be making swift death of themselves is Swift, being swept by Shinjiro. Come on, you don't get swept by a Team Serene team. And getting 3-1 by Giles, who are a team that seem to be on the come up now.
Yeah, definitely. But it's I don't know what you mean. Team Serene's the best franchise ever. They're it would be an honor to be swept by Team Serene, I think. But either way, going across to the Ignis conference now, Pegasus, how is that looking like?
There is one team that needs to be studied, and it's Deception, with a crazy double win week where they went to game 5 in both of their matches, and it was against top 3 sides. All-Star get their first loss of the season versus Deception, a team which, by the way, was 9th place at the end of last week. And then they just decided to get a game 5 win against second on the table Centurions at the end of last week. What is going on? Again, this is another team where I don't know if they made a roster change or if they just locked in. But that is their second and third series win of the season, happening against first and second place at their time of scheduling those matches. So really good week for them, and hard fought as well with 2 game 5s. And of course, it's going to be some RSCast cult classics, Celery Sticks, Celeritas, Dexterity, whatever you want to call them. Also going on a double win week with a sweep versus Royal 5, which was another top 3 team they had to face there. And a game 5 versus 20 Raven, which is one of the bottom teams. So it's interesting to see that they struggled a bit more in that game. The only other double win was Blaze, one of your teams that was looking to climb up the table. They got a game 4 win versus Shenron, one of your lower teams on the table. And a game 4 win versus Centaurians, a top 3 side. So a disastrous week for Centaurians, going double loss at the end of it. And, well, we'll just have to see in the table where that puts themselves. The only other teams to go double loss were 20 Raven and Shenron. But being near the bottom of the table, that was expected. Also, shout out to Undamaged. They get their second series win of the season versus 20 Raven.
Let's go Undamaged. We believed in you. Woo! Yeah. But as you said, definitely some interesting results there. I mean, maybe Celery Stick can keep it up. Kingsman, were you in charge of that roster, or was that someone else who made that roster?
That was someone else that made that roster.
Yeah, makes sense to be fair. So
Yeah.
yeah. Either way, across to the Glaciers standings, and how are we looking over there, Kingsman?
Well, we're looking at some Death Cloud dominance. 7-1 for them, and a very good run at the top of the table for Miasma. For goodness sake, DSQ and Shinjiru follow behind 6-2, only beating out Team Serene by 1 game, I believe. Yeah, 1 game lost more Team Serene has, so it's coming back to bite them. Oh, for goodness sake. Ugh. I don't even know the franchise. I don't even know the franchise name. Them in 4th on 5-3. Salamanders and Darkness and Charles 4-4. Unitox, there you go. Thank you, Pixus. Yeah, Salamanders, Darkness, and Charles. 2 of them 2-0. One of them 0-2. But they all meet at the end of the week, and only 1 team in the top 6 negative goal difference in Darkness. Then at the bottom, 2 series away is Saturnia and Tigris and Swift. At the bottom, do Swift have the lowest win percentage that we've seen so far? Let me just do some fact checking real quick.
Surely
They do.
Not
Do they have
team 0-8? Surely not.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Ankoli Watusi has a 27% win rate. They're winning games. Swift aren't winning games. They're just putting a swift end to what seems to be their competition. They've only won 5 games all season, and 3 of them were a series win.
See, I was going to be nice to you, Kingsman, until you just made that pun. Can you? I'm not very good with franchise logos. Can you just tell me all of the teams in by their name and how they appear on the standings for me, please, real quick?
So you got Miasma from Death Cloud in first, Porphyra from DSQ in second, Shinjiru from Team Serene in third, Inguni from Unitox in fourth, Salamanders from Team Amphibians in fifth, Darkness from Shadow in sixth, Joels from Team Berserkers in 7th, Saturnia from System of Solaris in 8th, Tigris from Panthera Esports in 9th, and Swift from Redirect Esports in 10th.
There we go.
Yeah, I think there was an audio bug. I didn't hear the team in 4th place. Can you just say it again for me, please?
No.
It was worth a try. Yeah, no. I don't know, Kingsman. That's not how no spelt, but either way, hopping across to the Ignis Conference, I really hope Pegasus has the easiest names ever to say here.
I do. To be completely honest with you, I really, really do.
Oh.
At the top, it is All-Star on a 7-1 record. That series loss, however, did come this week from Deception. You can see an arrow next to their name. They climb from 9th to 7th place, so actually equals Summit, who are currently sitting in 6th as well. This might just be the team to look out for, a team that can turn around their 77 goals for and 105 goals against. Oh my goodness! I have not noticed a stat like that so far today, but still, listen, this is their week. They're going double win. We got to give them some respect regardless. Blaze climb their way up to 2nd, coming from 4th. Centurions and Kings have to drop to make way for that. They also sit 1 series win behind that Brave Esports roster. Celeritas also on a 5-3 to match Kings, and then there's a 2 series drop before you reach Summit and Deception. 20 Raven, Shenron, and Undamaged all sit on a 2-6, and I tell you what, that's all very, very doable. So I feel like still here in Elite and Ignis, I think it's on the cards for anyone to make play-ins for the end of the season.
Definitely, but I mean, I'm impressed by those goal differences. You see, like you said, Deception 7th place. They've got -28, meaning that they have.
God.
What's that? That's almost a quarter. What is it like? They're losing 0.8-ish goals per series. That's also per game. Sorry, that is not per series. That's like impressive for 7th place. Like, you can see it for 10th place. They're dropping a goal on average per game, but to be 7th place and have the 2nd lowest goal difference is an impressive place to be on the scoreboard. I'm not sure if Kingsman's typing to Pegasus or whether they're just I feel like they're plotting behind the scenes, and I'm a bit worried. Usually we try and throw each other off. Obviously, this time I haven't been able to throw them off as much because I've been in front of the camera instead of hidden behind it. But to stop whatever they're plotting, let's go across to the Week 5 fixtures. Kingsman, why don't you take it away with Glacies?
They're not plotting anything. No, don't
That's
worry.
what someone who's plotting something would say.
No. There's definitely not a prank at some point that may or may not be played on you.
Damn.
You're just gonna have to wait and find out, Mal. That's what I'm hearing.
My shirt's still on.
Maybe. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
How was
to
that?
the. Anyway, no double headers tonight. We have Darkness Shinjiru, Swift Saturnia, and Miasma Salamanders. God damn it. Which is all going to be all good games. Darkness in 6th versus Shinjiru in 3rd. A big game needed for Darkness, I think, to get anything there. Swift Saturnia, that should be Swifts all day long. Miasma Salamanders with that. Salamanders did go double loss, and I will back Miasma because they are 7-1. I do see an 8-1 there. Anyway, looking down the rest of the table, all of the games I believe are played before Thursday. That is an RLCS weekend avoider, and I am very happy for it. Yeah, all games played before Thursday with Joel's hitting a double header. So that is a team dedicated to looking at RLCS. So big claps to everyone in the Iglesias Elite Conference who are doing that. But I think the big game, looking down the table, has to be Ngooni's week, full stop. Because they play Miasma and Porphyra. A double win week sees them probably go above Porphyra and challenge Miasma at the top. But a double loss will see them fall away from that top 3 fight.
Ooh, so it is all to play for over there in Glacies and over in Ignis. Mr. Pegasus, I believe we aren't as lucky to have all the matches finished by Thursday, are we?
No, we're not. There are 2 matches to ruin that. Undamaged versus Deception and 20 Raven versus Shenron. But one of those is actually my highlight matches. Deception, of course, are that team that I'm looking out for. They played 2 of the current top 3 last week, and they get a tick off the final one. They played Blaze today. I don't know if they're playing that right now, if they've already gone and played it, but that is a huge matchup for them to continue their climb, because if they can take down every single one of the top 3, this is going to be a team that's just not going to be able to be stopped. They're going to continue climbing for the next couple of weeks, and I am all for it. They also play Undamaged this week, which is the current 10th place side, and even though Undamaged got their first series win in a while this season, I don't think they're going to be able to take down Deception on this form. But still, that's going to be one to look out for. Celeritas, Celery Sticks as well, got their 2 series to play. They're going to play Centurions and Blaze, so that's 2nd place and 3rd place. They're going to have to try and take down here if they want to try and steal a top 3 spot. And Kings and Summit also in that same range of each other. They're going to play against each other today, or they already have, and if so, I would love to know the result. But all around, I think this is one of the closest conferences that we have seen so far. I think it's definitely the closest conference in Elite, because I think it's still possible for any team. If Deception can get themselves back amongst the ranks, any other team can as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like it is Undamaged versus Deception that could be a very interesting match all round for anyone to see. But those were your Elite fixtures. Now heading across to the best tier of them all, unless you're on a team with Kingsman, in which case it's the worst tier of your life. We have the results for Master from week number 4. Kingsman, how are we looking in Glacies?
Well, I'm going to jump back to what Pegasus said. Pegasus, did you say you wanted to hear how Solaritus got on?
How Solaris has got on?
Celery Sticks.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ask my GM and agent, because they're sat in VC together at the minute, so I can just go ask them if the game's done.
Go on, go ask them. Go ask them.
I'm not going to mute, I was staying here.
No, I'm not going to mute you on stream either, don't worry.
Hey, you two. Have the Elite team played their game yet? No, they haven't. They're playing right now. Okay, thank you. Yeah, they're playing it right now. Yeah. So no, there's the result on that one yet.
I like it.
No, so you'll have to figure out my GM and AGM who are definitely like more than confused at the minute. They're just like, what? Just cut them off mid conversation. Anyway, sorry. Moving on to Master Tier, as Mal mentioned, the highest tier of them all here. I have definitely prepared. Yeah, it's finally another Unitox team going 2-0 in Heck. A rebuild for them sees them success against Mavro and Abyss. And also, Nefelli slowly picking up the game wins here. They beat Frogs 3-2. However, were not able to come ahead of Shoken, who, I'm not going to spoil anything, but last 2 weeks have been on a bit of a tear. IOV, Abyss, and Mavro both going double loss, as well as the big shock of Berserkers. They got swept by Leo and swept by Shoken. They were top of the league last week, and they've been absolutely pushed aside by teams who decide that they are not going to stand for a Team Berserkers team at the top of the table anymore. Yeah, I've just seen Shattered in chat going them out. Yeah, he's finally figured out what happened. But yeah, no, some big results at the top of the table. And Berserkers just dropping like a stone this week.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have good weeks, sometimes you have bad weeks. Obviously, the side of Berserkers, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a great week for them. It's probably the worst week they've had all season, and hopefully for them it doesn't repeat. Hopefully for the Team Serene roster, I'm praying that it does repeat. But once again, very biased in that regard. But over to a conference where the only bias I have is that beautiful 0-6 week for Virtus. How are we looking over there, Pegasus?
Yeah, so Kingsman just used the phrase dropping like a stone for Berserkers, and I love that metaphor, but for this occasion, I'm going to use an elephant on a tree branch, okay? You don't know how they got up there, but you know they're going to drop eventually, and that's what happened to Mr. Kingsman Gas. What happened this week, man? You played aces. This week. You played Superstar. You finally played, the best teams in the tier. And all of a sudden realized that you were just not cut out for this. What happened, my friend? I'm going to throw it back to you. What happened?
I played both series ill. I played one series when I literally got out of bed before the series because I was ill. So I'm going to use that as my excuse. But we've bounced back this week, as you'll find out.
I like that. You know what? I do like that. And listen, we got to give some respect to Superstar and to Sovereigns because they are really, really good teams. Our RLI team is so dangerous. Sovereigns are really strong as well, as our aces. Of course, having Smashy on the roster. Always good in RSC. Good in RLCS as well. I mean, kind of expected at this point. But looking elsewhere on the table, away from Kingsman's woes, Superstar got their other win versus, I want to say, Hyurin Maru there, the Alpha Surge team. I hope that I did them some justice. I know I get the odd message every now and again from GMs that I do not pronounce their teams right. And Sovereigns also having that double win with a Game 5 versus Illusion and a sweep versus Zenith, which you'd assume to happen here on paper, but... What? Oh my goodness, ignore that. Oh, yeah, I've seen it. 20 Rock. 20... Hold yourself together, man. 20 Rock had quite a brutal week. For similar reasons like Kingsman, they did go double loss, but they actually, had a bit of a fight here. They went to Game 5 versus Zenith. They went to Game 5 versus Illusion. And if they got these wins, they'd be soaring up the table. They'd be, taking top 3 spots for sure. And they would have also just shut down those two teams from getting themselves too involved with the top 6 battle. They dropped in Game 5 in both of those matches. So it's going to be one that looks really bad on paper. It's a double loss week, of course. That's always going to hurt. But ultimately, they're games they could have won. So hopefully, mentals aren't too in the bin after stuff like that. Because look, in this Master Tier, things like that just sometimes happen.
Definitely. What I will say is, if Team Dexterity have dropped in the franchise standings, you know it's entirely your fault, Kingsman, for being sick.
Yeah, but I'm the only reason they're up there in the first place,
Yeah, true. You do really bring out the best in everyone else on your team by them having to carry you.
Exactly.
Are you on Instagram?
No, I'm on TikTok.
Oh, you know what? Close enough. And I just saw a short video playing when you picked up your phone. Anyway, to get this brain-rotted human being off of TikTok, let's go across to the Master Standings for week number 4. And Kingsman, take it away with Glacies.
Yeah, before I do that, my GM has offered one thing I need to do in return for the skit I used him for. He said, I need to tell you guys the team screen is bad. So,
Okay,
I
now
don't know how
run
you're
through the
gonna take
table.
that.
Now run
yeah,
through
can
the
we-
table.
can we,
So you've got Jazz's team in first. Honestly, what a roster built by Jazz. I know Team Screen had nothing to do with that, and a brilliant roster from Jazz, followed by Velocity from Redirect in second place, tied 6 and 2. Berserkers falling, they are now tied with Frogs 5 and 3. Another gorgeous symmetrical table, by the way. Enough jokes and banter, but oh my goodness, is it nice to see? And then the next pair is Leo and Heck, both very different starts to the season. One at the bottom, one at the top, now tied. Nefeli and Mavro. Last time we saw Nefeli, they hadn't won a series, they were 0-4, but we're back with them 3-5. Dansku finally picking it up here. Mavro, they went from the other side, and Iovi and Abyss. Iovi actually started the season 2-0, by the way, I believe. So I think they might be 0-6 in the last 3 weeks. And if so, that's a tough order to climb.
Definitely. Now, I'm going to ask you two, because you two will probably know more about the standings than I do. Is this the highest that any of the Team Amphibian rosters are? Because 4th place, I think, is the highest I've seen them all night.
I think it is.
Let's see. 5th, 9th, 5th. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so
Wow. Fair
the
play.
Master Team putting in a shift right now to help them up in the standings, but that is the Glacies standings. Now, if I can figure out where my mouse is on my screen, we will move across to the Ignis standings. And Pegasus, how much has Team Dexterity dropped?
Oh, I mean, they've dropped quite a few spots. We've been used to seeing at that top. They do drop to 4th, albeit they are on an equal record with Sovereigns and Aces on a 6-2 record. So it's not as bad as it initially looks. Superstar now hold on to that top spot with a 7-1 series record and a 76% win percentage as well. One of the highest that we see across the board. Not the highest. I believe that actually goes to an illusory roster in Rival. However, further down the table, you've got 20 Rock on a 4-4 series record, Illusion and Zenith on a 3-5, Horin Maru on 2-6, and I want to give some special love to these bottom 2 teams, because something that I may have missed before here is Inferno on a 2-6 series record. They got both of those series wins this week, so maybe a team turning themselves around. They got a series win versus Intact and a series win versus Horin Maru. Intact also got their first series win this week. So again, fair play to them. That maybe we'll see them climbing up the table, but their opponents weren't the most difficult on paper. It was a bottom 3 scrap seemingly happening this week. And I am interested to see how those top teams will start to reshuffle themselves after this week. I know that Kingsman, you did play a match today. We're going to see that on the schedule screen, and I'll let you have that opportunity when that time comes to tell us your result.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this about quite a few of the standings, but definitely these Master standings right here. Anyone right now, before the end of the season, could drop in and out of those. I believe it's the top 6, isn't it, that goes to
Yes.
play-ins / playoffs. So any of these 10 teams could go in or out of the position. But that is all of your Master standings. Now going across to the fixtures for week number 5. Kingsman, why don't you take it away with the Glacies Conference?
Well, there's no games tonight. only one tomorrow, which is Frogs versus Leo. But I think we might have all the games played again. We have one game on Friday, and that's cutting it a bit close, but all games done before RSCS again. So big shout out to those teams. Double headers for Berserkers in there with 5 games being played tomorrow night. That's one hell of a night for some teams. Frogs having both games done. Frogs versus Heck, a really, really good game. Both teams have been on the up in recent weeks, and both teams' strongest rosters might provide a hell of a game. Looking at the rest of the table, Velocity Nefeli, and Nefeli coming up and up, but they face top of the table. Will they be able to continue that rise at the top? Also, one I'm going to look out for, the other one, Velocity Leo. Leo, a ridiculously strong roster, I think predicted near the top of the in power rankings, now playing Velocity. So are they going to prove themselves as one of the top rosters as they look to get back on track?
Yeah, and I mean, only a slight correction. You said there was 5 games being played all tomorrow. It is in fact Wednesday that all 5 of those games are being played. But
sorry.
Aside from that, yeah, I mean, it's looking to be an intense week, I'm going to say, for the Glaciers Conference. How about over in the Ignis Conference, Pegasus?
Well, 20 Rock and Virtus getting all their games done today and tomorrow. 20 Rock play top of the table, Superstar. 20 Rock being one of those teams that are looking to run away from top 6 positions and maybe compete for those top 3 spots if some of the teams ahead of them allow it. It's quite a tough run, having to play both Kingsman Gas's team and, of course, Superstar. Well, Virtus, like I said, one of those teams that are playing today and tomorrow. They actually did play that first series today versus Sovereigns, I believe, versus Cash, who did recently announce his retirement and now can fully put all his focus on RSC. How did that series go, Kingsman?
It went to 5. It was on the big Shattered Fusion stream, and we had an FA in because one of our teammates' internet decided it was going to go off. But yeah, Virtus took it in 5, so a ridiculously good bounce back, and I am over the moon.
Wow, congratulations. It's a good result for you to get yourself back into that top spot again, but I don't think Sovereigns are going to be taking that lying down. They've got a hard matchup tomorrow as well, having to play Smashy's Aces, of course, that Royal 5 roster, being another one competing for that top 3, maybe even a little bit extra if they can manage to pick that up. So lots of action happening for those 2 teams this week. And I also wanted to look at the run of Zenith that they've got. They have to play Superstar as well, which is rather brutal for them as they're looking to try and climb their way into top 6. On the other hand, they do play Intact. So they play first on the table and 10th on the table. Intact obviously got their first series win this week, but it was against Yorin Marbury. You're right there, Kingsman.
What?
He's lost his attention span.
His attention span is cooked. His attention span is cooked. What is going on?
This is what TikTok does to our guy.
Yeah.
What? I'm so confused. What?
This is why he's the one not getting paid, guys. This is why.
He sits on TikTok his entire time. You need to move your phone. Hold on. Move your phone slightly to your right, Kingsman. Oh, I see what it is. Yeah, no, you know, it's understandable. I'll let him get away with it. Okay. So 20 Rock and Virtus are definitely my teams to watch here, and Zenith as well. Elsewhere, of course, I've said before, I'll say it again. I think this is one of the most stacked Master Tiers I've ever seen. I think it is the most stacked Master Tier I have ever seen. So really, every match is a highlight, and if we could get one on stream, it would be an absolute miracle. Yeah, well, I mean, I think you've covered that pretty well there, and Kingsman with a quick TikTok break. What I am going to do, I'm going to do something a bit unorthodox here, and I think Kingsman will figure out pretty quickly why I'm about to do what I'm about to do. But Pegasus, I'm going to give you the lower half of franchise standings this week.
That's all fine.
So why don't you take it away?
Well, 20th place, we do see Panthera Esports on a 14 and 26 record. It climbs slightly here for Alpha Surge in 19th, and Brave Esports. Last time we did this show, it was 2 weeks ago. They sat at 20th, so they're on the road to their slow climb up the table. They're equal here with Team Amphibian. Flawless also having a big climb here with 18 to 22 as their record. And I must say, this is some of the closest franchise standings I have seen in quite some time. There actually isn't all that much difference, I would say, from 18th all the way to 11th here and how much further that goes. Because we have got, sorry, let me count, 5 teams on screen here with a 19 and 21 series record. That being Systema Solaris, Unitox, RL Ireland, 20R and Fort Templar. Those win percentages playing such a huge factor for every franchise this season.
Definitely. But as we go across to the top 10, and now we get the fun of saying this, Pegasus. Kingsman, why don't you take away the top 10 while also taking special care to mention which team or which franchise is in third and which franchise is currently in second?
As we move to the top of half of the table, we're going to go to Pegasus now to cover the top half of the table. I don't know, normally he listens when people say that. He's very, actually, no, I can't say that on stream. Yeah, he like let's just say he likes being told what to do. Anyway, 2020 at Shadow Esports and DSQ in 10th and 9th. Redirect and Royal 5, 21 and 19. A redirect above or below a 50%, but those series wins are what matter. Death Cloud and Aspire. Aspire is a new franchise doing ridiculously well, 22 and 18. Team Berserkers and Team Dexterity all separated by 1 series win, as well as Team Serene. And at the top, with 2 rosters carrying them in franchise standings, let's be straight to the point, is Illusory, where 2 tiers have 16 of those 26 wins. So, all I'm saying is the rest of the tiers need to pick up the slack, Rahu.
Very, very true. And I mean, Kingsman's going to be sad we didn't get that Week 3 RSCast, because Week 3 had Team Dexterity in first, Team Serene in second. But this week, Team Serene, we've kept the position, but Team Dexterity's dropped. You know what that means, Pegasus? We're better than Kingsman!
Yes, yes, and it's all because of that master team. It's still all because of Kingsman and his germy self.
Yeah, what a sad time. But as we go across back to the caster screen, you are going to lose my voice for a minute. Hopefully, I can fix it straight away because I'm not supposed to be able to be heard on stream. So I am making VMix do dodgy things. But just bear with me a moment while I put my mic back on.
He's looking a little different.
Yeah, I've turned into a penguin. Okay, hopefully I can be heard on stream. We have the giant penguin plushie. I've missed RSCast because of this penguin plushie. I won this penguin plushie on a Monday night where RSCast was cancelled a while ago, and it was all my fault because I wasn't here. But as you can see, we all have plushies. I think the important distinction to make is the size of the plushie. Because if I pick this penguin up and just walk to the back end of my room, you can see this penguin is like humongously large. It is half my body size. It has been sat behind me for the entire stream, and will continue to sit behind me as long as it doesn't fall over. It is an incredible penguin. But that was your weekly recap, and yeah, what can we say? The franchises, they haven't really settled yet, and I wouldn't expect them to settle until probably around about week 6 or 7. I think is when we're going to see the breakouts. But I mean the Sloth replacing Kingsman. It's the greatest upgrade we've had on RSCast ever, really. See, even the Sloth agrees. He's nodding at us. It's incredible. But I believe it is now time for the more fun section of RSCast. And usually I have the prediction set up ready. This time I will not be able to have that set up ready because I haven't actually properly watched through either of these clips before because I was too busy forcing RSCast to let me talk on it. But to switch it across, we don't have to worry about making sure it's ready because I know when it's ready to play. we are going to go across to our clip of the week. There we go. Okay. You should be able to hear me again on stream. Once again, I trying my hardest to run this while also doing this. We do, I think, have every single person listed on Clip of the Week now, so voting is open. I mean, I think I know between the three of us who's going to win and who we all would vote for to win. So Pegasus, who do you think had the best clip out of that Clip of the Week there?
I'm not even being biased. Like, Jazz had the best clip, right? I'm sure we can all agree that it was Jarku-esque. Of course, that got goal of the season a few seasons back in the draft format. That was beautiful from Jazz coming off the ceiling against, master level defense as well. However, I do want to give a special shout out to Pulse and Stones' goal. I thought that was really cool. And I tell you what, that was something creative for a prospect goal, which we don't get to see all that often. All right, Kingsman. Go on.
Yeah, go on, Kingsman. Give us your thoughts.
Ooh, cool, go! Ooh. That's how I heard that when I first. If every master team that scored a goal like that submitted it, oh my goodness, Clip of the Week would be flooded. Anyways, yeah, I think this Clip of the Week was a bit dead, to be honest. There was some interesting clips. I thought there'd be a bit higher standard, but not every week can provide us high level standard. I think we got blessed one week with who was it, Smashy, and who else was it that hit a ridiculously good shot that one week? Was it Cash? Was it Smashy and Cash in the same week?
I think it was.
No, I've got all the videos saved on my computer. I can have a look afterwards and let you know, Kings.
Yeah, you can have a look afterwards. But yeah, the standard this week not so great. However, it is Jazz by a landslide. Jazz is I think the only difficult shot on there. And
you're saying that, but Mox is winning the vote.
He's not won.
Really?
Unless one more vote comes in for Jazz.
No.
Kingsman, have you voted? You got to vote quick, bro. If you want to change this one around.
It is a tie, which means it comes down to us.
Yeah,
and that means between the three of us, we all three said Jazz anyway. So
I'm sorry to be straight blunt, but Mox's clip isn't that great. It's a ceiling pinch, and I think you're seeing that more and more as a mechanic through the tiers. It does bounce as well, I believe. I think Pegasus pointed that out as well. So I think we're going with a bit of admin bias here. So and I've been doxed in chat. So yeah, I'm still voting Jazz.
And I'm still voting Jazz as well. So even if
Jazz,
Kingsman had switched his vote,
name.
Yeah. Wow, you know nothing about your co.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No wonder he doesn't get paid for anything.
Of course.
Yes, Pulse. Yours was the first clip, but either way, you've asked whether yours is on there, Pulse. You'll get to see because we will be running through. Although we do know Jazz is your Clip of the Week winner, we still get to see all of those clips once more over. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
There he is.
Right, gotta sort my audio again. This is the problem. Every single time we run that clip, I've got to refix my audio because it's not set up. But those were the clip of the week options. As we said, Jazz, your clip of the week winner. Not by much, but it was a unanimous vote from the desk, which doesn't always happen. So at least you know you're doing something right there, Jazz. I mean, me and Pig may be a tiny bit biased, but you know, it was a good clip. No one can say it wasn't a good clip. Either way, what we can say aren't good clips, but are great content, is your fail of the week, which we do have. I believe it's a slightly shorter video. I don't think there's as many options, but having actually seen this one in advance, it is definitely a great one to watch. So we'll run that now.
Let's do it. Let's roast about what we can't.
No, I can talk now. Al.
There we are.
Your mic was trying to send out a message in Morse code there, Kingsman. I don't know if Pegasus heard it as well, but
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
what I can say is those were definitely some great fail of the week. So Kingsman's mic's trying to upstage me right now. It's rude there, Kingsman.
Hold on.
But I think looking already at the votes, Horfura is gonna win this. An entire elite roster missing a ball that is bouncing into the net. Pegasus, you cast a lot. What is your opinion of that?
That is insane. That is one of the craziest fails I think I've ever seen. And I actually did cast one of Porphyra's games this week, funnily enough. I casted them, I believe it was versus Miasma. They didn't. They got swept in that series, but I don't remember a mistake like that. That was absolutely insane. That's definitely fail of the week for me. And even with Kingsman Gas having a fail this week, that he was too scared to put in amongst all the other fails. I feel like he still wouldn't have won this week, and that's really saying something. So I tell you what, the votes are 12-0-0 to Porphyra, and I think that's deserved.
Definitely. I mean, I can't hear Kingsman. Can you hear Kingsman?
No.
Well, we know what next week's fail of the week's going to be at least. It's a shame it's not running. I'm just going to send the clip to Ark and get him to pronounce it the fail of the week. Oh, he left and rejoined. No, we still can't hear you, Kingsman. But while Kingsman sorts out his mic, we'll talk about the fact, as it has been pointed out in chat, it wasn't just Porphyra missing the ball. It was the entire lobby didn't manage to make contact with that ball before it went in. So, yeah, Kingsman, is your mic back? I can't read what that says. I can see said.
Put it
but
closer
aside
to
from
the
that,
screen.
yeah, sorry, not enough. I still can see said. You can talk now. We can hear you. I can hear your chair in the background.
Okay.
There we go. He's back.
Oh, I can hear you. What did that
what were you
say?
saying,
What
Kingsman?
did that paper
What
say?
Dreamy said. Which was basically the whole. We can put the whole lobby in for fail of the week actually. 'Cause two of them missed the open net basically, and then Wessel just acts like he's in another continent, and the other two just act like the ball's not there. So yeah, put the whole lobby actually for fail of the week.
I mean, either way, it's a landslide victory, and the person saying I'm dying over there, yeah, no, both me and Kingsman aren't fully well at the moment. I have a bad cough, and Kingsman has got the Black Plague or something. I'm not 100% sure, but he's he wasn't here last week. It's entirely his fault that we didn't run last week, and definitely nothing to do with the fact that like half of the team wasn't available and ball chasing was down. We don't need to talk about that. It was purely Kingsman. But what we will do is play back the fail of the week so everyone can see the majesty of 6 people in an elite lobby unable to hit a ball.
Let's roast Mal while he's not here.
Shut up, Kingsman.
He's so stinky. Oh.
What the hell?
True. That's true.
Anyway, as we saw there, we kind of talked about it while the clip was playing. It's not entirely the full lobby. We did see the last player did manage to hit the ball into the net, but at that point, there wasn't really anything anyone could have done to stop that ball going, and it would have taken a miracle for it to have not made it. But those were the clip and fails of the week. Now on to talking about some of the best players across the entire week. And I don't know the usual order we do, so we're just going to give it to Pegasus first, because he seems like he'll enjoy taking prospects. So take us through the prospect players of the week, Pegasus.
Will do. Starting off with your MVP, it's going to be Stones with a 522 points per game, clear of second and first place. He'll also take your finisher. Will he take striker? No, he will not. Stones got 2.17 goals per game, the only person to break that 2.0 mark. Loopy had a 100% shooting percentage, and actually Stones, oh my goodness, is mentioned again with silver for that striker accolade. Your playmaker was Ozzy with 1.33, actually equaling that of Gandhi in that silver spot. And your saviour is Nosegraph with a 2.88 saves per game, just shy of that 3.0.
Definitely, and I will say, if it wasn't maybe for the fact that I'm assuming Loopy probably scored a single goal off a single shot, or very few goals off very few shots, I would definitely expect to see Stones once again at the top of striker. But Kingsman, why don't you talk about what we can see over on the challenger side of things?
Well, what we couldn't see, but now MVP is Ollie from Team Berserkers, 586 points per game. Then it's Local, who mentioned in the silver for MVP, and Ollie, they're swapping awards. Finisher 2.29. KA from the best franchise in the league of 64% shooting accuracy. Your playmaker is XM from System Solaris, 1.67 assists per game, and then Mali from the IRL Ireland roster, 2.86 saves per game. He will be your savior.
My alter ego is doing better at Rocket League than I am currently. This is a tragic day. Anyway, let's see how fast it updates. Pegasus, take a rival. Oh, there we go.
I will take rival when it updates. It is updating. Your MVP was Avi with a 598.67 points per game. So close to that 600 record. Mox will take your finisher, actually equaling the same goals per game as Sarge and Drum Hunter with a 1.5. Patroid gets your striker accolade with a 75% shooting percentage. And Rube will take your assists per game with a 1.17 record, the same as Zixify. And then your saviour, he's appeared yet again here on your rival players of the week. It's AV with a 3.0 saves per game.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting for the especially because of the finisher one. when you see the three people on the same amount on the finisher or on any of the stats really, if people are tied on that first number, I believe there are 2 or 3 secondary categories that it's then sorted by. So although potentially Drum Hunter could have had first place, obviously based off some of the hidden metrics that we have, I don't even know what they are across all of them because it's different
Probably
stuff
goals?
for each of them.
Total goals?
That I would assume that is one of them. Yeah, I can't remember what the order is. I've got a list of them somewhere. It won't be based off the number of games because Players of the Week is based off 3 games. You've just got to play a single, basically enough to be a single full series. But based off the hidden stats, you can see Rube getting above Zizafy and Mox beating Sarge, who beats Drum Hunter. So that's how those are calculated. But Kingsman, why don't you talk a bit about Elite when it pops up on the screen? In a second.
Best tier,
there
as
it
we've
is.
seen
It's coming.
of the week. The best tier ever. And it is Just Pank with 614 points per game. That is a mega performance. I assume he only played one series. He's also your finisher. Not your striker, though. That goes to Lummy with 50%. He is not your playmaker either. That's Cal D from Brave with 1.38 assists per game. And Vector from System of Solaris with 3 goals per game. Oh, I'd love to say that name in third. He's got GK for goalkeeper in it, but oh well, he is third. And as ironic as it'd be funny if he'd have won, because certainly not dumb as a goalkeeper if you're getting 2.71 saves per game.
Yeah, and I mean Hugo flying under the radar there in second place in 3 categories, which unlucky that he's probably been outdone by someone who only played a single series. Looking at those stat lines, but that was your Elite Player of the Week. Now up to Master and Pegasus, who is the best player in all of Master. It's really taken a while to update. There we go.
Best in Master, you'd assume. Best in the league, it's Khan. An FA with over 600 points per game. In silver there is Cash with 585. He'll also be your finisher with a 2.38 goals per game, with again Khan actually sitting in silver. So those two were fighting for those first 2 accolades. Your striker will be Aiko with a 100% shooting percentage for Royal 5. I have my suspicions on how many series he may have played there. Your playmaker is Team Serene's very own Sazon with a 2.0 assists per game there, with Smashy and Keali also mentioned in bronze and silver. And your saviour will be Team Berserker's, I believe it's Elian, with a 3.33 record. I actually casted him in a different tournament the other day. So he is on the grind at the moment in silver. There's also Linkso with a 2.67 and Rukia with a 2.5.
Yeah, definitely some impressive stat lines. And as we go across to our Team of the Week, although Players of the Week are done off 3 games, I believe it is a minimum of, I want to say 6 Team of the Week, but it might be higher. I don't actually know. I just get given a list of names. But either way, going across to your Team of the Week, Kingsman, why don't you let us know who the best players are across all of RSC this week?
Well, to go back to your question about Ico Pegasus, Ico played 3 games this week and lost every single one. So
Huge.
There you go. Your players of the week: Stones from Unitox, deserved from what we've seen. Ollie from Team Berserkers, and Rube. There you go. I did say Team Amphibians had a rise. I didn't see him on the weekly awards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he is your rival. Hugo, 3 third places and a first place in the whole of the tier. And the man who announced his retirement and lost to Kingsman in the same week is your Team of the Week for week number 4. It's Cash, who, if you're going to Birmingham, you will see playing in the BEC final, which, I'll be honest, I wish him luck there.
Ooh.
Some very fancy moves, but I believe I believe I haven't set up the minigames thing, so I believe we will not be going to the minigame screen. One day, maybe the minigame screen will return. It has been seasons in the making now. As we go back across to the caster screen, you're going to lose me once again for a second.
Yeah, ooh, that Mao guy, am I right?
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
this is why I always bully you when we do RSCast. But either way, we have made it through the entirety of RSCast. We may not have had Rhino. I may have been stuck in front of a camera with a giant light in front of me blinding my eyes the entire time. But what I can say is it has been a great week, and sad that we missed week 3. Any thoughts about the last week or even last 2 weeks, given that we didn't get last week either?
Well, it's nice to see that ball chasing is fixed for one. That is an absolute miracle, and it's nice that has allowed us to do RSCast again in a very rare few occurrences we're going to be able to this season, apparently. But also, I did just want to say, very excited, of course, for the upcoming Birmingham Major this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a LAN topic talk of some kind made in the main server. I know that us three are all going there. So if you see us around, come over, say hi. I'm very excited to see all the RSC people again.
No, please don't say hi to me.
Definitely say hi to me. Me and Pegasus gonna be stuck near each other because we're sat next to each other. And to make it even better, I will be making sure to come in my Fort Templar jersey. Hey. What we do in the hotel is our own business, Pegasus. I'll be wearing a Fort Templar jersey just because best franchise ever. I imagine Luke is not going to be happy with that, and he will probably be in his Team Serene jersey. Are you going to be in your Team Serene jersey, Pegasus?
One of the days I'm going to be in a Team Serene jersey. The other day I'm going to be in a Sir Pegasus jersey. So I'll have a nice little rotation to go for the week.
Maybe, which day are you going to be on which? Because I might bring my Sir Pegasus jersey, and then we can both...
Oh, I don't know. We'll decide on the day. I'll bring both. We'll decide on the day.
But as Pegasus did mention, and we did say right at the start of this stream, there are very few RS casts left this season. Mostly due to me being a nerd and going on holiday starting halfway through next month. And as the main broadcaster, we can get rid of Rhino, we can get rid of Kingsman, we can get rid of Pegasus, but very few people want to have to deal with them too. So it's hard to find replacements. So I think it's saying at the bottom on the ticker right now that the next week's one will be cancelled due to us all travelling back from Birmingham. I believe it is then the 21st of April, followed by basically every RS cast from the 21st of April onwards, aside from the end of season awards, is likely not to be going ahead. And the person asking, are we not doing week 3 as well? We are not covering the stuff that we missed in week 3, mostly because of the fact that Team Dexterity was higher than Team Serene on the franchise standings, and I don't want to see that.
And we ain't got time to go back and do week 3. We've spent a good hour and a half doing week 4. We aren't going to go back and do week 3. And I'm sure Mal is as well, but I'm absolutely dying. So if you see me cough or mute my mic, I'm still absolutely dying. So tough luck, but no chance.
But as we reach the end here, we can't forget to thank our glorious sponsors. I got the easy one for once. Usually it's like 5 or 6 long, but this time it's just Badass, Royal 5, and using code RSC-EU in the Epic Games Store. Thank you for both Badass and Royal 5 for helping keep this league running, both being a very, very big help, and making sure that I can never do anything on a Monday night. So it makes planning things great. I do 3 D&D campaigns, and I have to say to them every week, can't do Monday. So this is all you two's fault, you know? But thank you, everyone, for watching. And unless either of these two have anything extra to add, I think that's going to be all from us this week. You have anything, Pegasus?
See you in Birmingham.
Yeah. See you in Birmingham, everyone. And have a good rest of the week. And goodbye.
Okay, I love you, I do need you, I do, I love you. I do need you.